New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science. With Reverend Joy Fletcher, Reverend Jeff Radcliffe, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.
Welcome to Divine Science Everywhere on the New Thought Media Network. Divine Science Everywhere features divine science ministers and New Thought guests discussing the principles and practice of divine science. I am Reverend Joy Fletcher, also known as Joyful, and we all welcome you here today. We're so grateful you could join us. Currently, I am the president of Divine Science Ministers Association, a member of the Divine Science Federation International, and a lifetime member of INTA, as well as an executive board member and an honorary member of Associated New Thought Alliance. Yes, network. And so we're really happy that you could join us. And I'd like to introduce my colleague, Reverend Jeff Radcliffe.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see you, so to speak, out there. I'm Reverend Jeff, and I call myself a spiritual cheerleader because I think that's what I do best. I'm also a hell of a prayer. So if you have any needs that you might need taken care of, feel free to call on me. Call on any of us because we are more than happy to be there for you. We will hold you up while you need us. I'm also, like Reverend Joy, got my hands in a little bit of everything on the board of both Divine Science Federation International as well as the Divine Science Ministers Association. I'm also a member of International New Thought Alliance, the affiliated New Thought Network. Was ordained originally with International Metaphysical Ministries and have a second ordination in Divine Science. It's awesome to be here with you. So thanks you for joining us. And I'm going to throw this over to our good friend, Bishop Durrell Watkins.
Hey everybody, I'm Durrell. Today, my time was, I won't say it wasn't managed well, but it was a little more frenetic than usual. So I'm not in high drag today. I'm in very low drag today. No collar, no pendant, but showing up as fully me anyway. I am all those things. I'm belong to all those other organizations that they are. We're all colleagues, friends, and co-members of all those things. I'm also the current president of the Divine Science Federation. I am a parish minister as well, the senior minister of the Sunshine Cathedral in Fort Lauderdale, sunshinecathedral.org, if you want to know more about us. We also house a ministry school, the Samaritan Institute, which is one of two ministry schools with the Divine Science Federation. There's also a third one not affiliated with the association, but it's the Divine Science School in DC. So we have three Divine Science schools, two of them affiliated with the Divine Science Federation, and I get to be part of one of those. So, and of course, one of the hosts here at Divine Science Everywhere. So we always have a good time. Do you know this is our 8th show? We're still new, but also
awesome.
Not super new. This is our 8th show with a fabulous guest, but I'm not going to get ahead of myself. Hi, everybody.
Yes. So I'll say hello to our guest before we begin our centering moment. And Reverend Tanae Kosmina, we're really grateful that you're here with us. So we'll talk more about you in a few moments.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Certainly, certainly. Yes. So today, I'd like to acknowledge Pride Month. And we pause to affirm the sacred truth at the heart of divine science that God is omnipresent, in all, through all, as all. And there is no place where divine love is not. No identity, no expression of life, no person is ever outside the reach or the presence of infinite good. We honor all expressions of being as sacred expressions of the one life. Melinda Kramer, who wrote the book, where she's quoted in the book, Divine Science and Healing, in the 1890 edition, the divine spirit is universal. It pervades all things, includes all things, and expresses through all individuals as life, wisdom, and power. So I invite you to take a moment to rest in this truth, a meditation on omnipresence, acceptance, and divine belonging. So as we take a breath together, and then another, allow yourself to settle into the awareness that right where you are, the fullness of infinite presence is not judging, not dividing, not excluding. It's only of being, of oneness, radiating light, life, and unconditional love. And in this holy stillness, we remember you are not separate from God. You are now outside the circle of love. You are not incomplete. For indeed, the very breath that you breathe is divine life flowing through you, as it is flowing through me. We are at one with each other in this omnipresence. The rhythm of your heart is also the rhythm of my heart and is the music of the universe, loving you into being. So at this time, let any sense of unworthiness dissolve. Let any memory of rejection be released into the boundless ocean of spirit. You are seen, you are cherished, you are whole. And resting in the affirmation, the light of God reveals itself through every person, in every form, in every color, in every identity, every voice. There is only the divine expressing as love. So let's move again together, knowing that this love includes all of us. In the one, there are no others, just all. So our heart expands to include all beings, every expression of gender, love, and soul, as sacred, as holy, as divine. So now, as you bring your awareness back to this moment, just know that you are loved and you dwell in this omnipresence of light, power, wisdom, grace, and belonging. And so it is.
And we always begin with that centering moment. It's always rejuvenating and wonderful. We should always center ourselves in the knowingness of our divinity and our oneness. We say at Sunshine Cathedral, you are God's miracle and not God's mistake. And these moments remind us of that truth. Now, before we get into some exciting conversation, I want to tell you about a wonderful opportunity. We are charting a new course. The Divine Science Federation International and the Divine Science Ministers Association, working in tandem as just one big love fest that we are, invite you to join Charting a New Course Retreat at Sea. It's a 5-day, 4-night cruise aboard the MSC Seashore, starting at just $299. Yes, a 5-day cruise for under $300. Departing on November the 2nd, later this year. And this is an all-inclusive getaway. It features free bus transfers from Ocala and the Villages and Leesburg, plus free Wi-Fi throughout your journey. Enjoy open bar access for only $99, both on board and at Ocean Cay Marine Reserve. You'll explore Nassau and Paradise Island in the Bahamas and relax on MSC's exclusive island, Ocean Cay Marine Reserve. Special perks from the Happening Out Travel Club include private happy hours and exclusive dining events. You can book your spot with a $199 deposit, and then you only have $100 more to pay out. If you haven't heard of Divine Science, well, you have heard what it's about. If you like Oprah and Chopra, Louise Hay and Michael Beckwith, spirituality that's based on love rather than dogma, or you're familiar with Silent Unity or the Daily Word or the progressive, positive, practical spirituality of the Sunshine Cathedral community, then you already have a pretty good understanding of Divine Science, a new thought school of thought that has been around since 1888. This nonprofit 501c3 trip is provided at reduced prices because of the charity fundraising educational mission of the travel club. So we invite you to join us on this amazing cruise for fun, connection, and spiritual renewal. That's November the 2nd to the 6th. It's only $299. You can get it for $199 deposit and then pay out the rest. And for more information or to reserve your spot, visit Sunshine. I always say that.
You do.
I do. It's a common, because I love me some Sunshine Cathedral. Please also visit Sunshine Cathedral. But for this amazing trip, please visit DivineScienceFederation.org. DivineScienceFederation.org. And click on events. And now, before we get into some rowdy conversation with our amazing guest this week, let's take a quick commercial break here at Divine Science Everywhere on New Thought Media Network.
Welcome to the Convention of the Americas 2025, Rising Together. Join us for a truly bilingual retreat experience on the shores of the beautiful Lake Chapala, Mexico. July 22nd through July 26th, 2025, at the Hotel Villa Monte Carlo in Jalisco, Mexico. Featuring Reverend Jeffrey Ryan, Dr. Jose de Lira Sosa, Reverend Dr. Kathy Ann Lewis, Reverend Dr. John Waterhouse, and Reverend Dr. David Bruner. Registration is now open, and payment plans are available. Simply visit www.conventionoftheamericas.com. Come be part of a transformative gathering with powerful presentations, workshops, networking time, and just good old relaxing and connecting. Plus, you can learn more about the science of mind and how to live this powerful philosophy in your life. Transform your life at Convention of the Americas 2025, Rising Together.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Now, I'm excited to introduce our guest today. Reverend Tenye K. Kosmina is a divine science minister ordained by this wonderful organization just over a year ago. Mm-hmm. She comes from a long line, a family line of divine science ministers based in Detroit, a legacy that began with her great-grandmother and continued through her grandmother, grandfather, and aunt. Tenier currently co-pastors an online Unity Worldwide Ministries alternative ministry, Unity Prosperity Ocean, alongside her husband, Reverend Dr. Stephen Kosmina. Her training expertise extends to Silent Unity, where she helps train incoming prayer associates on the sacred practice of affirmative prayer. Tenier holds a bachelor's in business administration, a master's in computer information technology, and a woman in leadership certification from Cornell University. She is a past president of the American Business Women's Association, a published author, and is certified by LMI as a leadership development facilitator. She's also a certified Proctor Gallagher consultant. Passionate about helping men and women develop their leadership skills while experiencing personal and professional growth, Tenier is available for speaking engagements and transformational workshops. Now, I know there's so much more about you, and we'll give you the opportunity to share. So I'd like to introduce Reverend Tenier Kosmina.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you so very much. I want to say hello to everybody looking in as well. Thank you for this invitation, and I'm just ready. I'm ready. Whatever you want to ask, whatever you want me to share, I will share. It is so much fun.
Well, great. So you told us that, you have a remarkable multi-generational divine science family. That's cool. So can you tell us a bit about your great-grandmother and how the divine science tradition was passed through your family?
Oh, yes. Her name was Dr. Maxine Keith. And she really, she was born in Georgia, but because of the way the world was back then, she ended up in Michigan, in Detroit, Michigan, actually. Mm-hmm. And that's where she began. She ended up having 6 children. She was married, had 6 children. And my grandmother was the oldest of her 6 children. And she started her ministry in a storefront on J Street in Detroit. And as things changed over and life went on, she decided she wanted more. And she just as we're taught, just as all of us are, she began to pen with an ink pen and paper, her vision of what she really wanted. She started to use her imagination. She started to visualize and really feel it real. And when you look at her documents of how she got started and why she wanted to start and how she set up her organization, I wish she was here so that I could just talk to her and say, where did this come from? How did you consult someone? Or, a lot of times we just get downloads from God and God will guide us. But I would love to know. But she did, and she just created these organizations where the ministers that wanted to be under her, so it was a metaphysical school as well. So you come to her, she ordains you if you pass, and then if you want to set up a church, she purchased the structure wherever the church was. So really, you're really leasing it from her, renting it from her. She had complete control over everything, the property, the land, the contents on the inside. So if you did not abide by the rules and regulations, she would put a padlock on the door, send you a letter that said, greetings. We are no longer going to associate with that. I have some of those somewhere.
Hardcore.
It was, but you do have to, in a sense, be hardcore. As back then, as a woman, and then an African American woman, she wanted to be taken seriously. That this wasn't something fly by night. So she really was. She was strong, but when you physically looked at her, she was just so soft. So she knew where her strength lied, which was in God. So,
forgive the intrusion. What time frame are we talking about here? When did she start this?
1950s.
Oh, okay.
So when you look back at I have copies of her articles of incorporation, and it's fun to look at her handwriting. So when you see that 501c3 and the information that came about and everything that went into it, it started in the really late 1940s, like 40s, 48, but into the like 1950s.
Still early. I mean, I think Nona died in 45, so it was still pretty early.
Yeah.
Did she ever speak at INT? Divine Science used to speak a lot at INT in those days. Was she ever a speaker at the International New Thought Alliance?
I don't know if she was. I don't believe so. Growing up, those organizations never came into our existence. I don't know whatever she did. I know she used to study handwriting so that when people would come in for she would practice with them, their treatment. She would look at their handwriting and be able to assist them with whatever else was going on with them. She did quite a number of different things, but she was amazing. I only was around her up until I was about 9. But at 9, you don't have those conversations that you'd want to have today.
But she definitely influenced you. It's wonderful to hear those stories. And she definitely was very, I want to be soft, but yet say hardcore metaphysician. You a certain guidelines of ethics, metaphysics.
Exactly.
And that's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's really,
and that's really a thread throughout my life. So she gave it to all of her 6 children, and she was hoping that they would do it with their children. And my grandmother did it with my mom and then me. And so it's there. And my grandmother was ordained by my grandmother, and my grandfather on my father's side was ordained by my great grandmother. And so he actually had his own international organization that's still running. I don't have any affiliation now because he's gone, but he has still his own association going. But I just, it's in you. It's that story of similar to a fish doesn't know that you're in water. I was around it. It was just a part of my life. It was just normal, like just breathing. So you just didn't realize what was going on until the awareness, the understanding, and the comprehension comes about that, wait a minute, I'm able to do things that others don't seem to be able to do at times. And I guess when I first realized it was really when I got to college. I used to wear glasses. And I remember they had a free clinic. And I used to hide my glasses because not everybody had them and I didn't want to wear them. And my mother would always say, "Where are your glasses?" And I would say, they're here. And I would take them out of my bag and put them on. And I got to college, they had this free clinic. And one of the clinics was for eyewear. And so they tested me and took the glasses to give me a new pair. Then they came out and they said, "Are these your glasses?" And I said, "Yes." They said, "Did you borrow them? Did someone give these to you? Or did you get them from the doctor?" I said, I went to the doctor and, my mom paid for them and they're my glasses. Why? Could not understand. He said, "Because your vision is 20/20. We're trying to figure out why you even have glasses at all." And so I sat there because I was just thinking, what do you mean 20/20 vision? I've worn glasses since I was 3 years old. And that was the day that I never had to wear glasses again. But I didn't know until later still how that came about. How was I able to do that? And then it was a time that they thought they saw something on one of my ovaries. Literally. I went to see them. They said they saw it. Then I went back and they said, we're going to give you an x-ray before we take you in. And when they took me in, they came back and they said, "There's nothing there." So I don't know if somebody just misread what they did, but whatever, it just disappeared and I went on. and my lungs started to deflate. I was asthmatic and had been like that since I was probably 11, somewhere in there, 10, 11, 12. And it was very difficult walking a college campus, trying to breathe and all these different things. And they brought me home, put me on all these different steroids, and it blows you up because, that's not really supposed to be in your body. And I didn't correlate the metaphysics of the lungs to my thoughts, to what was going on in my life. I just never did until I did. And then when I went back, the same conversation I had with the eye doctors, why are you using an inhaler? Your lungs are in excellent health. And then it extended into diabetes. I've been diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic. I've been diabetes free for over 17, 18 years now. And again, didn't quite, and I was almost 200 pounds. It was like 2 pounds from 200. So all these things were going on, and the metaphysics of what's going on in your life will come out in the body. And then all of a sudden, and it's really not all of a sudden, it is asked and it is given. It is exactly what we know it is. And I was healed. I was back in alignment, understanding who I am. And I've been like that. And so many other little things, just little things throughout life. The stories could be so long, it could probably wrap the entire world of all of the things that I've been through, and really recognize this wasn't just me. This was something bigger. So
Beautiful.
The Frederick Bales, he was religious science, but those distinctions don't matter to us. He was religious, and he was a physician, and he had diabetes, and this is before insulin therapy. There was, like, in those days, to be diabetic was very scary.
Yeah.
And he was diagnosed diabetic, and but metaphysical understanding is how he got through that. He then became a doctor. He was from New Zealand. He became a doctor, and he used to say that, of course, he practiced medicine like you do, like properly and whatever, but he said that he would always give a positive suggestion to his patients, and he said, and they always did better. Like, if they thought he expected them to get well, if they thought that he thought the treatment was sure to work, that he just had amazing success. And he had that from his own experience of having overcome diabetes back when there was no treatment for it. So he knew, even as a physician, to spin it in the most positive way, because people accept that, and then their mind has power to do, to make things better.
Exactly. A belief is something that you accept, but when you know it from that inner knowing. And you are absolutely right. When they told me at that time that I was type 2 diabetic, I didn't know what was going on. I was at work and my head kept really hitting the keyboard. I couldn't understand what was going on. I called the doctor. She said, "Come on in, you'll be our last patient." I get in there, they take blood. She comes in the room and she says, "Well, I'm just going to have to tell you this. I'm just going to say it. You have diabetes." And I literally thought the entire floor opened up and I fell through. I really did, because of a couple of reasons. One, how could this happen to me? Because I thought that I was working life just fine. How could this happen to me? And then she came back to go along the lines with your statement, Bishop, is she said, "But I have a patient that was just like you, and now he's diabetes free." I felt like a flower that just got water. And I said, "Really?" She said, "Because of HIPAA laws, I know I'm not supposed to say that, but I'm just letting you know, this is not something that you can have, you would have forever if you don't want to." She said, "You can do something about it." And that was interesting and eye-opening, because all of the people I had ever known either would die or get a limb cut off or become blind. And so those were the things, when I thought the floor opened up, I thought, oh my God, I've become a statistic. And that was something I didn't want, because I prided myself on being so healthy. But then I understood what caused that disease in my body. And it was the awareness. God works with you. I really wanted to lose that weight, and I didn't finish. I always say I didn't finish the sentence. And back then, I did not finish the sentence. I literally had a picture of Janet Jackson right next to my mirror. And I wanted to be that size, but I did not, with clarity, preciseness, detail, say why I wanted it. God said, well, I gave you what you wanted. You lost the weight. I did, but I ended up being type 2 diabetic at that time. The weight instantly went away because I started to really watch what I was eating. And that was that. You don't have to you inherit so many things. You may inherit it in one sense through the genes, but then also through the conversation in your environment. And if you accept that is what it is, then that's what it's going to be. I didn't accept it. And just a little note, Dr. Maxine Keith was a type 1 diabetic. My grandmother ended up being a type 2 diabetic. And I'm no longer a diabetic.
Wonderful.
Excellent. Love healing stories.
Me too. Me too.
I have a question. I've been sitting here listening to you and thinking about your great grandmother and how she got started and doing her ministry in Detroit. And she was doing this about the same time that Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman was coming up through the ranks in Unity.
Yes.
Did they have any contact? Do you know?
I don't
believe
they did. If they did, it was never talked about in our church. I don't remember. And like I said, it was only up until 9. We would have what we would call general assemblies. And it was really a convention. And every year we would have something in the month of July. And some people were invited to come in who were part of our supporters. And that was never a person that came up. But I don't know. I would have to do more research and find some family members that are still around that remember those days.
Right. And one other question that I've been thinking about, why divine science? Well, because we are a small organization. We are the oldest New Thought denomination when it comes to organization, but we're still rather small. And even back then, we were a little more active. But she could have gone to another organization. Any idea why she went divine science?
No, I don't. I just, other than the fact that she studied a lot and it gave her what she needed. And she wanted to like me, she wanted to tell the world. And so, when something's working, something is working, something is good, you just want to tell everybody. And you want to help everybody. And she chose it, divine science. And that's how I've always lived my life. Awesome. Growing up, it was always, shh, don't ever tell anybody you're in divine science. It was a no-no. I could not talk about it anywhere. A little girl down the street, she was the only one that was allowed to go to church with us. Everybody else, my mom would think about what church they would attend, and then she would say yes or no to it. But only one was allowed to attend church with me out of all my friends. And she says, whenever you're in mixed company, just never talk about it.
Wow. It's like the messianic secret, Jesus said, okay, don't tell anybody.
It was. And, you just think about, what if I had been able to speak about it back then? Maybe I could have helped more people. But maybe they didn't have the understanding back then. Maybe they didn't have the comprehension or the wanting to hear it because it wasn't like everything else.
And I've gotten to where you heard it in the pitch for the cruise, the 5-day 4-night, all for $299 cruise that the Divine Science organizations are sponsoring. Where I say, if you haven't heard of Divine Science, you already know what it's about, because I think that's been Divine Science's gift. We are not as commercially obvious as because I remember when I was a kid in the 70s, Unity had the Daily Word. The Word is.
The word.
So of course the Daily Word, of course, the magazine, but they had these TV commercials. They were a minute. They'd have some actor from television, basically reading that day's Daily Word or whatever. But you could see Unity Village in the background. Those were amazing. And then of course religious science has their stuff, and divine science always had a lot going on. But they didn't have a TV commercial. You know, they didn't have this thing called You that Ernest Holmes had on local LA TV and all that. We have a lot of stuff going on now. But divine science was always the thing that found you. It wasn't as commercial. It wasn't as in your face. But people, when it didn't work out somewhere else, divine science would pop up. And, Emmett Fox was divine science. But he tried Unity. Unity rejected him, and boop, suddenly there's Nona Brooks accepting Ernest. So I mean, Emma. So that was that's always been our ways, that we just sort of find you, and then divine science. Then you may start a divine science ministry, or you may work with Unity or religious science or 12 steps or Course in Miracles. Like you just go from there to do whatever you do. So it's made it hard for us to be commercially well known or whatever. And yet I also think it's the reason why we're still around, because we're actually absolutely part of everything. We were even part of Norman Vincent positive thinking that Marble Cleaves did in New York. He was very influenced by Emmett Fox and Ernest Holmes and Charles Fillmore, but he was good friends with Emmett, and that actually helped influence his positive thinking. Also, Emmett's work was very prevalent in the early days of AA. So yeah, we don't get a lot of credit, but we don't need it because we're just everywhere. Divine science everywhere.
I love
That's
it.
right. That's right. Yes. Well, I'm curious about these conventions. If people would come all over, the word had to have leaked through those conventions. Where do they hold these conventions, and what kind of things happen there? What kind of events?
It was like a convention or a revival, and it was in Detroit on Waterloo Street. That's where the headquarters of the church was.
Okay.
Because she built up her organization, she had a church in Ecorse, a church in Toledo. She had a few in Saginaw, and then those, of course, if people were out of alignment or passed away, they would close down. She would decide if she wanted to reopen them up. She had, one day when I'm able to show you those photos that you have, you'll see in there, she has Mother Church, and then she'll have this church number 1 or church number 2 and church number 3. And so those ministers that were under First Churches of Deliverance, which is the name of her organization, they went out and they made their First Churches of Deliverance Toledo, First Churches of Deliverance Ecorse, First Churches of whatever the city it was. So then they pulled in their people from their congregation, and she just set them up so that every July we would have a general assembly. So what would happen is all spiritual training, all training, and just enjoyment and music and ordinations and stepping up into whatever level you were supposed to go to at that point. She would do it all during the general assemblies. It was very hot because we didn't have an air conditioner in the church, so you had fans, and we had those gigantic speakers because we had people playing the organ and the piano and maybe some drums. And then when it was time for the general assembly, she would take she pulled also from Catholics, so she had a scepter, and she would sprinkle water. And we would walk around. She would have a tent set up in the yard. We had at the church, there was a large yard. And so there was a tent set up. And we, year to year, it would change. But we would walk around 7 times and we would sing, "I Shall Not Be Moved." And, it's all the other stuff that's connected with it. And then you come in and that usually was the end of it. End of everything. You have your normal board of directors meetings and this meeting and that meeting and this, and then you have maybe a night of testifying. A lot of churches, I think, still do that. I don't know, where you're giving thanks and you're telling people just what I talked about today of what has happened, what happened to me, and now how I am, that it went away, and things of that nature. So those were magnificent and
Wonderful.
do
Wonderful.
miss that because people don't do that.
I just in this conversation have had a realization, and I don't know why I didn't put it together before. Your husband is the former treasurer for the Divine Science Federation, isn't he?
No, I don't believe so.
Is he a Divine Science minister?
No, he's a unit. Well, yes, he is a divine science, Stephen Cosmina.
Yes.
I don't remember him being the treasurer.
I think he was on our board. I think he is the one who contacted me saying my wife has a long divine science background. I want her
That's
to ordained. And so I approved that. I think he did himself. I think he did. So I did, because like I know one Cosmina in the world until now. Now I know two.
Now you know him too.
Like,
That's
this
funny.
Lady
yes.
with a long history, and the husband who, because he was ordained in divine metaphysics and was involved in 12 steps, and he was an accountant. He taught at Temple, all these things, and then he joined our board. And just out of the blue, he's like, my wife is ready.
But he wasn't. Stephen's never been an accountant.
Oh.
He was our treasurer, and he did teach some kind of business thing at Temple.
No, not my Stephen. No, Stephen, Reverend Dr. Stephen Cosmina. He's also a unity minister as well, but he's not an accountant. I think it must be another Stephen somewhere, and not mine.
There can't possibly be two Stephen Cosminas whose wife has a long divine science history. I don't know.
Yeah, but never an accountant. No.
Well, it is a small world.
It is a small world. It is a small world.
Right.
Meanwhile, it's also a small clock, and so we have to take a break just for 2 minutes or so that we can do this little bit of business. We are Divine Science Everywhere on the New Thought Media Network. We'll be right back.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Well, welcome back.
Let me just ask, does this guy look familiar to you?
That's my Stephen.
Okie dokie.
That's my Stephen.
All right.
Well, they'll have a conversation.
Yes, because I just wrote him just a second ago. He's like, huh? So
did you ever live in Philadelphia?
No.
And he never lived there without you?
No. Right. No, not at all. We're both from Detroit. No.
Well, life is mysterious.
It is. No, but that's him. Yep.
Yes.
But I would like to meet this Stephen that has the face of my Stephen.
So, Reverend Tenier, how can we honor the roots of divine science while also creating space for new expressions like your own ministry?
Staying true to the principle. Always remembering, even if you tend to forget. I always use the phrase when I'm teaching or speaking or something, I'll say bring to remembrance, because we can forget, but staying true to the principle and knowing that the principle is not optional. Just because we may see things differently or feel things differently, want to try something differently, doesn't mean that the principle, the law, can be changed by you. And if it can be changed by you, then that means it can be changed. It cannot be changed.
Right.
You may be able to change things outside of there, doing things, working with it, but
Right.
changing it would be like having the power to create another one of us.
Mhm.
And when I say that, not through just having children and things of that nature, but to physically be able to, without all that, create a whole new being.
Mhm.
And you just have to stay true to the principle and want to, and want to have the understanding of what is it that I can do to stay in alignment and stay aligned.
Mhm.
And you have to make a decision. Everything is a choice.
Mhm.
Make a decision that this is where I want to be. This is how I want to be.
Mhm.
This is how I should be.
Mhm.
And it's not about being perfect, but it's being within that perfect love that created each and every one of us. That's how I see it.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, somebody say something.
This is the crosstalk part where, yeah, I mean, you've been so forthcoming with so many things. I'm trying to think of another question, but yeah, this is the time where you can ask her absolutely anything,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
you can volunteer absolutely anything.
Well, let's see. So I will volunteer. What's coming up? I guess what's the news?
yeah.
How many minutes do we have left?
Oh, you've got another 8-9 minutes for sure.
Oh, okay, good. Let's see. I'm always, something you all don't know about me, I'm always working on myself. There's not a day, a second, or a minute I don't allow to go by without me working on something. And this is what I call personal development. I'm always working on me. There's never, I remember the time when I didn't work on me, that I didn't have faith. I thought I lost faith. I thought it just disappeared and didn't want to come back. And, it is part of that ask and it is given. And when the student is ready, the teacher, the experiences will appear.
Mhm.
And it did happen. And so I work on myself, and there's no cap on it. Just when you think I got it, then all of a sudden it's like, ha ha ha, you don't have it at all. And
Right.
work again.
Now
So
you're
I help others, and this is what I've been doing for a very long time. And one of the things I'm working on currently is a course called Women in Leadership, and I believe that we all need to get together and without jealousy, without thinking I'm better than you or you're better than me or whatever the thoughts that we all have sometimes.
Mhm.
And it's a women in leadership course, and this one will be starting in August of 2025, and it's really just about women finding their purpose, learning how to be emotionally balanced, really knowing what they want and why they want it, how to communicate. And it's a course. Stephen and I, we own a franchise, and that franchise is a leadership development one. And we do workshops and things of that nature. And this one is a graduation certificate course where it's for career advancement. And if someone wants to make a greater impact in being a leader and deeper impact on how they are becoming that leader and displaying as a leader, this is something that really rips away all of the facade, the mask, and gets really deep down into how you work. And if you don't like how you work, then this is about, let's make something new. And it's really about people who really want to be honest with themselves and not pretend honest. And it's really about, because that's what I'm about. I don't like the pretend honesty.
Yeah.
If I'm going to make a change and I want growth and then I want transformation, I have to be real. Whether I like it or not, whether I'm ashamed or embarrassed or whatever it might be, but I want something different. So That's coming up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. I have a question here. Sometimes people will text me. You can also put it in the chat. I mean, where we can all see it. But this is, and I guess this is for anyone. They don't say who in particular, but you talk about omnipresence. If God is everywhere, why pray? I guess that's for any of you.
Well, if God is everywhere, the reason we pray is to change your thoughts and your feelings and your beliefs, because God is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
If God wasn't everywhere, you wouldn't be able to ask this question. God is everywhere. But when we have misbeliefs and we have, when you start getting into the subconscious and what sits in the subconscious mind, whether it's a habit of thought, patterns of things that you physically do, then you do, there's something that you want, something that's different. It doesn't have to be physical or tangible, it could be intangible. But whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
you're praying to change your perspective and your thoughts about it, your beliefs about it. I hope that helps, whoever that was.
And to remind
Yeah.
yourself, that you are part of that omnipresence. That's
Yes.
really what
That is
praying
already
is.
perfect.
And
It's
I'm
already
excited
perfect.
to share this because this hit me when I read it, but I didn't think I'd had an opportunity to use it this soon. But my friend, and I know that Darrell knows him. I don't know if you other two know him or not. Reverend Gailey McDowell, who is one of the staff ministers at Christ Universal Temple,
Yes.
Johnny Coleman's church. He posted something just today where he was talking about one of the ministers that he used to work with. She's passed now. And she would talk about her favorite line from the Joel Goldsmith book, The Art of Spiritual Healing.
Mm.
And I want to quote this because it hit me like a ton of bricks when I read it. The quote is, "If you understood the nature of God, never would you pray to God for anything. God has only the gift of himself to give, and in that gift, all needs are met."
Amen.
So you can take that and interpret that however you like when it comes to if God is everywhere, why pray?
Is that Dr. Helen? That
Because you're
sounds
not
a lot like
asking
Helen.
for anything. You're affirming that it's already there because it's already part of the divine
Of the
omnipresence.
illness. Was that Dr. Helen?
Dr. Christina Knox
Christina.
Walpole? Yeah.
Very
Excellent.
good. I love that author as well.
Let me ask one more time. One more question. Because your ministry is what we call virtual, which is kind of a silly thing to call it, because in the 21st century, it's as real as anything else. I think it's the absolute future. I mean, not that people won't ever gather in person again or whatever, but I think this is how we reach people, how we connect people. This is how people do business. This is how people learn. Like that. That's the world right now. So, can you tell us a little bit about your online ministry?
Oh yes, we every Sunday, except for this Sunday, we're traveling, but we have a community of people here, and from Canada and a lot of other places, and they come and they meet with us on Sunday, and it's either Stephen or myself that will bring the message for that day. And the people that are here followed us from a physical church that we had in town. And what we do over the last couple of years, we gather together. So we plan events together. And so that's our fellowship. We'll go to dinner, or we'll go here, or we'll go there. And that's what we do. And it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable. Yeah. But it's called Unity Prosperity Ocean. And it is every Sunday at 9 a.m. Central. You can find us on Facebook, or if someone's interested, they can always reach out and we can add them to the newsletter, and they'll receive that with information that can come out as well.
You have you're developing a leadership course. You have this Sunday worship spiritual experience online. You're available for workshops and that sort of thing. So leadership is a big part of your ministry. So if someone after COVID, their ministry sort of hit the rocks, they're trying to figure out how to, if not resurrect it, start something new. Another new person, they're finishing ministerial school. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do. what is your word for people trying to enter into leadership? But the world is so different, but still we need leaders. So what would you say to them right now?
I would say invest in yourself and really make the decision and turn your focus to what is really a leader. Leader is not somebody that's just so flamboyant and loud and maybe they're not loud, but maybe they have a very big personality. That's just, they can be a leader, but doesn't necessarily mean they know how to lead. And people, just because you are able to have a congregation, maybe it looked great to you, or maybe you're going through some things, really, like I said earlier, work on yourself. And working on yourself, what we have several different leadership, I call them tools rather than programs, because we have effective personal productivity, about time management. How are you managing your time? And how to schedule things for yourself so that you can really get some things done. And then we have the personal leadership about how to move you. How do you work? What do you do how do you present yourself and move yourself if you're in a team or directing a team? And learning how to move you will help you how to lead others, because we're all spirits living a human experience. And then we have personal motivation. What gets you motivated? It's not just the music that gets you motivated, the rah that gets you motivated. Deep down within, what gets you motivated? And it's really knowing how to set a goal and then measure that goal. Find out what it is you want and why you want it, and then really look at the results, because you've been looking at the results all this time. Look at the results. And if you don't know how to get there, then there's a way to do it. There's a formula for everything. And that's what we do. But it's all about changing the mindset and really learning how to be more impactful so that you can truly influence people with your thoughts, words, and action to do what they want to do in life, not what you want them to do.
That's so
wonderful.
Good. That's
wonderful.
so good. And I apologize for confusing some Stevens. I don't even know who the other one is that I'm thinking of, but I got part of it right. I've got 2 or 3 people that I've merged into a person. We're all one, so it's okay. But I apologize for the confusion, and I'm going to figure out who this other Steven or Stevens are. But
absolutely.
But yours is part of the mix, and he's great, whichever part he is. So, and you're great. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited that you've been with us today. But I do apologize for my scatteredness, whatever. I used to be pretty, and so I didn't worry about being smart. Now I should try to be smart. But anyway, I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I have really thoroughly enjoyed this, and
Good.
I cannot wait until the day that I can meet all of you in person. This was really enjoyable.
Well, join us on the cruise.
We're massaging our schedule here, so we're trying. We are trying. We are trying. I hope we can. That would be awesome. Just to share time with you and talk more and find out more about you all.
Yeah.
Great.
We're out of time, aren't we?
Pardon? Yes, it's been a delightful time. It just sped right past. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today on Divine Science Everywhere on New Thought Media Network. And
Please help
that God is in all, through all, as all.
Amen.
Divine Science Everywhere on New Thought Media Network.
Yeah.